What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Dota 2 commentary. This is again from the International Western Qualifiers, and just to keep it spoiler free, in case anybody has not watched those qualifiers, this is a match between Didi and Mouse. I'm not going to tell you which round it is or anything like that. I'm only picking this match because even though I know these matches are dated, a lot of the tournament tickets that I want to cast from have not yet been uploaded to the store, mainly the raid called Dota 2 League Season 3, which looks to be a really great tournament thus far. But the ticket is not in the store, so I cannot buy it. And yeah, I do buy all my own tickets, so good for me. Anyways, yeah, just going back to this game before we can get more influx of newer matches. And this is going to be a match between Didi and Mouse. Didi, of course, looking very strong throughout this tournament. Mouse looking a little bit shaky sometimes. Dropped one game to IC Cup, but managed to overpower them and got to the playoff bracket. And the main reason why I picked this match is, well, I'll spoil a little bit. Mouse is ahead in this particular series. And that's all the spoiler I'm going to get. But yeah, the reason why I picked this match is because it has some pretty interesting heroes. And again, I'm not going to tell you which game this is or anything like that. I'm just going to go on like I normally do throughout the picks and bans. But yeah, we'll see some pretty interesting heroes in this game. So hopefully you can sort of theory craft on how these heroes might be utilized in the future. So Mouse can open up with a Lifesteal, very standard Lifesteal, of course. The most picked hero in the Western Qualifiers. He is ridiculously strong, gets going a lot earlier than other carries because he doesn't need that many items. All he really needs is an armlet, phase, sometimes drum, sometimes not. I mean, all he really needs is armlet and phase, and he can really just overpower most other carries because of rage, and because he has a lot of mobility because of Infest. Open Wounds, of course, is a tremendous slow, and Lifesteal as a whole is just ridiculously annoying to deal with. But Didi gonna open up with the Bane. Bane, of course, a very strong hero. Very good counter to Lifestealer. Maybe not a hard counter, but he is picked as a hard counter. I mean, you can't really say one hero hard counters another, except for maybe like Bat vs TA in lane or something like that. But Bane does tremendously well against Lifestealer because Enfeeble, if you cast before Lifestealer can cast his Rage, does go through the Rage. Of course, you can't cast it while Lifestealer is being Raged, but if you do manage to put on Lifestealer before he can Rage up, that reduces his damage output quite tremendously. Fiend Script, of course, does go through magical immunity, and Didi also picking up the Trian, and Trian has been seeing a lot more play recently. And Trian is a very solid hero for the most part. He is quite lacking when it comes down to the late game, but as a Trian player, you should try not to get to that point. You just sort of heal up your towers, keep them at full HP, and you really want to hold on to all of your towers at all times. So Mouse is going to pick up Keeper Light as well as Lone Druid. So that means Mouse for sure are going to get at least one tower. So just because Keeper Light is really annoying in terms of pushing into and also defending against, because Keeper Light has that ridiculously large AoE Illuminate, and his Spirit form with the Blinding Light does make pushing into towers very difficult. And Lone Druid, of course, you all know, ridiculously powerful hero. His Bear does give increased damage to towers, and he can just rip through towers very quickly, living armor or not. But yeah, Didi, keep in mind Empire were the first people to pioneer Trian, and that was mainly Golblack back then, who has now switched to Didi. And this is actually my first time casting a Didi game. Silent, interestingly enough, who was the 4-player for Empire, is now the hard carry for Didi, started making an Eternal Envy swap, changing from a support back to a hard carry. But Didi also going to pick up the Weaver. Weaver, pretty strong hero. What I'm worried about for Didi right now is that they're really lacking damage, and against Lifesteal as well as Lone Druid, you definitely want to have some source of damage. And you can mitigate that somewhat with the Bane, because you have ways to reduce the other hero's damage, whether you put the Enfeeble on the Spirit Bear or you enfeeble the Lifestealer. But still, how are you going to bring these heroes down? And that's what I'm a bit worried about for Didi in this game thus far. Because as you all know, Treant does not do much damage. Weaver does not do too much damage until he manages to get maxed out. And Weaver, of course, very strong against Lister and Lone Druid, because it's very difficult for those heroes to catch them down unless Lone Druid does get a lucky entangle or Mouse gets a couple bashers on their heroes, which will definitely be in the forecast for these two heroes, Lifesteal and Lone Druid. Those heroes commonly pick up bashers. But yeah, Weaver can just run circles around them until he sort of gets entangled. Keep It Light does do pretty well against Weaver, but still, it is kind of annoying to deal with Weaver with just the Mouse currently has, at least for the first 30 minutes or so. But still, you don't really have to worry about Weaver's damage output. His damage output is not that threatening until he gets one or two big damage items, and he wants to get a bit of survivability first as well. because he does know one entangle will mean the end of him in any engagement. Meanwhile, the pick and bans are just flying through, so DD banning out Puck, so they're recognizing that Mouz currently does not have a mid-soul, and Mouz Fada has been just on a tear this tournament. His Puck has just been banned all over, or has just been rampaging through enemy teams, and Fada has definitely shown that he has become one of the top mid players in Europe, and you know, it was a bit of a surprise because at the beginning of the year, his mid was pretty much average, but he's really looked like he's put in a lot of effort. Mouz as a whole is a team that seems like they put in a lot of effort. Black in his community interview with Team Liquid said he only sleeps like 4 to 6 hours a night because he does school and Dota for about 12 hours. So it's pretty ridiculous. He does school for 6 and then Dota for like somewhere between 8 and 10 hours. It's pretty nuts. And meanwhile, Mouz banning out Luna, so they want to make sure DD does not have those strong pushes to ban out Darkseer, because Vacuum into Trian Ultimate is very annoying, especially for heroes like Leicester and Lundred, who do require mobility in order to hit their targets. So, pretty smart ban. TA going to be banned out as well. It's noticing that DD does need their own bid still, and TA does do pretty decently against Leicester and Lundred just because she isn't affected by anything that damages over time, unless the Lundred does pick up an Venom, and really does not have too much to fear from the Lifesteal or the Lundred until they get Bashers. So, yeah, pretty smart ban in my opinion by Mouz. And DD banning out the Leshrac as well as Nyx. Mouz support's going to fortify their support duo with Rubik, and right now Mouz is a pretty standard lineup, as I think in these games they like to pick up Synderen, or they like to pick up Lina for Synderen because they like to have a bit of burst damage. But right now they have a lot of damage nonetheless. And DD, they're going to pick up Razor, and this is a hero that I personally enjoy playing quite a bit, and I think he's underrated to some degree, and I'll explain that as this game continues. But Razor is going to be a choice, and DD, right now, they do have... Well, we'll see what lane Razor goes in, because that is one of the things that I do like about Razor, and I'll talk about that once the heroes get, or are finished being picked.
10 seconds remaining.
But Mouz, right now, all they need is probably their mid hero. They're going to put Lone Druid in the off lane unless they do aggressive charm with Leicester. And I think they will do aggressive charm with Leicester because they have a lot of damage in the form of Cupid Light. They have telekinesis into Lifesteal, right click, and open wounds. So DD, they'll probably put Weaver in their Trine, backed up by Tree as well as Bane. But all three of those heroes do need a decent amount of experience. Mouz going to pick up Juggernaut, so I think this might be a mid-soul Juggernaut. Is DD going to pick up the Queen of Pain? And unfortunately, Razor will not probably go into the position that I was hoping he'd be, as he is going to be played by Sakshka, who is the hard carry for DD. So just to introduce the players and teams really quickly, Mouz from Germany. Synderen is playing Keeper of the Light, Koikwa is playing the Lifesteal, Fada is playing the Juggernaut, Paz is playing the Rubik, and Black is playing the 100. Meanwhile, on the side of DD, we're going to have Go Black playing the Tree and Protector, Funzy is playing the Queen of Pain, Sakshka is playing the Razor, fucking Mad is playing the Bane, and Silent is going to be taking over that Weaver. And actually, Silent is the hard carry for Mouz. Sakshka looks like he's playing the offlane Razor. So, this is what I wanted to talk about really quickly, as... Man, this draft just flew through very, very quickly, as all of Mouz are just going to the top lane. GLHF is the call from both sides as they get ready to do battle. But yeah, I think Razor is underrated in some aspects, and against it's lineup by DD, or picked by Mouz, I think Razor will do remarkably well as fucking Mad giving me a lot of trouble. I think he will probably die. The slow living armor not going to be enough, and you can see Koiko along with the bear doing some nice path blocking, but actually living armor allowed the Bane to sustain himself somewhat well, and Silent just going to do a bit of Shikuchi damage just to get a little bit of HP drain on the side of the ring, but overall good engagement by Mouz. They immediately managed to get one kill. They got to support Bane, but first blood always is going to be very, very appreciated, and Juggernaut got it, so that's going to be in a very, very quick bottle. And you can see the bottle has already been picked up and it's being shipped. Anyways, back to Razor. So, Static Link, as you're probably well known, goes through Magical Immunity, and against Juggernaut as well as Lifesteal, that's going to be very important. Juggernaut, I mean, the Omni Slash won't really care because it does a constant physical damage, but Lifesteal, you can't use the Magical Immunity to dispel the Rage damage drain, so that is very good. This is also a bit of a bug. We can also link the Bear, and the Bear gets his damage drain. I don't think that was the case in Dota 1. You can see Sakshka immediately doing just that. And why I think Razor is underrated in some aspects is that I think he's probably the best mid-solo hero in the game, because especially with Valkyrie being so prominent, I'm sure you can use your nukes to sort of spam on the creep wave, but in terms of just harassing and just driving people out of the lane, and keep in mind Razor has a very, very solid AoE nuke as well to clear creeps very, very quickly. Razor is pretty much unrivaled because he can just steal whatever damage. I really don't think he loses to anybody. I think the only hero that might give him problems is probably Skywrath. I don't even think OD gives Razor too much of an issue. But the thing about Razor and why he's not picked is because you can't win the game solely on the back of laning. He is a very, very unreliable carry, and he's more of an anti-carry than anything. But even then, the damage that can potentially be drained is not always guaranteed, as looks like Mouz just gonna usher DD away, but DD already got the pull, so they're pretty satisfied. But yeah, sometimes Razor can steal an immense amount of damage, make the enemy team's carry essentially useless. Other times Razor can't steal any damage, and then he himself becomes quite useless. And when you give a hero like Razor enough farm, you sort of want to have him be consistent. And Razor's stat growth is really, really bad, and his ultimate is among the worst in the game. It's really, really bad, because as long as you have one creep in the battle, that creep will take a majority of the DPS just because creeps themselves have low HP, and Razor's ultimate hits the targets with the lowest HP. It's not based on percentage, it's just based on the target's HP. So his ultimate is unreliable, his static link is somewhat unreliable, his passive is decent, but I mean, it's not really an aggressive passive, it's a defensive passive. It gives him a bit of move speed, of course it gives you that purge if you target him with a single target ability. His nuke is really good, but still, one nuke cannot win you a fight. So yeah, Razor not really picked, he's a very, very unreliable carry. I think in this line he'll do quite well because again you can drain the damage from the Spirit Bear, you can drain the damage from the Lifestealer, and with Enfeeble backing up the Razor, I think DD right now in order to compensate for their lack of DPS, and that's again why they picked up the Queen of Pain, because Queen of Pain does a lot of damage early on where DD severely lacks it. But yeah, in order to just make up for their lack of damage, they're just going to make sure that Mouz themselves do no damage through Enfeeble as well as Static Link. And you can see Razor just draining a lot of damage. So yeah, I think Razor will probably get buffed. I think one of the buffs he needs is that when he casts Static Link, he should drain at least a little bit of damage because it takes 1 second for the damage drain to tick in. So I think when he immediately casts Static Link, he should get a bit of damage, and also buff his stats. His stats are really bad because he does need a lot of items. He needs tank ability and needs a DPS, and if you don't get the Static Link off, then you're essentially doing no damage other than your plasma field in engagements. His auto attack damage is really, really pathetic. But other than that, I think he's a pretty solid hero. But again, laning cannot make or break a hero. That's why you don't see Huskar, even though Huskar is a really good laner. The rest of him is just so terrible that you really can't just justify his lane being strong as an excuse to pick him. But yeah, going back to the game, looks like Silent gonna go for that Ring of Aquila, and for the most part DD had to play very conservatively, but they should be okay. Silent gonna get lifted up in the air, and there is not going to be anything to keep Silent in check. Looks like DD placed one sentry ward over here, but other than that, they're really just going to deal with Silent as he comes in, and they're just going to focus on Lifestealer getting a lot of farm. And so far, Lifestealer is doing a nice job. Silent has been keeping up in terms of CS. Actually, Silent runs past the sentry ward. Silent could be in a lot of trouble. Shukuchi is cooling down quite soon, but still, level 2 Shukuchi does have a long cooldown. Silent will have that Shukuchi back up as the lift actually gonna kill off Pos, and Synderen gonna be in a lot of trouble. The sustainability on the side of DD just very, very strong as Silent juking as best he can. And he's gonna be able to juke long enough, so yeah, Shukuchi back up. He's gonna Shukuchi Koikwa gonna die as well, and Living Armor showing its full potential in that engagement. The sustainability of Granite Weaver, already a very difficult hero to kill, just allowed him to tank a number of different abilities, whether it be auto attacks or just spells. But yeah, I think Mouz, if they just focus on trying to farm up rather than going for the kills, which of course you want to do when you put an aggressive trial in, you want to get some kills in order to justify putting the aggressive trial in there, because your supports probably won't get much experience because the other supports will get experience on the back of pulls, and that's why aggressive trials aren't always the best unless you win it. And that's why you have to justify winning it because of kills, as DD Funzy going on the offensive, going to try Fade away, but Fada has the healing ward to heal him back up to full HP. But yeah, I think DD's Trial is just way too difficult to kill. Living Armor, of course, has a ridiculously cheap mana cost, and on the back of those 3 kills and the first blood, support Treant is already level 4, and Treant in a Trial should not be level 4, so DD has completely won this trial. And bottom lane, It looks like Razor's doing alright. Keep in mind, it's a bit more difficult to lane against Lone Druid. He's one of the best laners in the game because he has two heroes. As there's going to be engage on the top lane. Sidran, once again, going to be odd Charl. Does manage to get one last parting blast, but quickly going to be driven away. Again, the Leech Seed in conjunction with the Living Armor just means DD will probably never die in this trial lane, especially now that Treant is nearing that level 5 where Living Armor truly becomes a super annoying factor. But luckily for Mouz, Treant is running out of mana, and Living Armor, even though it's only 25 mana, does have a mana cost. But yeah, I mean, there it's a bit more difficult for Razor to control, just because he has two heroes, so even if you drain damage from one of the targets, he still has another target to appropriate last hit, but you can see he's just going to constantly drain away the damage from one of them, and just on the back of that, with the superior right-click damage, Razor will be able to drive the enemy hero away. And Razor went for the phase boots. I do think phase boots is the way to go. Some people like to get treads, but Razor is one of those carriers who, in order to be... Because Razor's interesting. He needs to tank a lot because he's going to be in the middle of things, because you want to make the most of your static field, and you want to get the most out of your Iris Storm and your passive as well. But Razor, as a carry, I don't think really thrives on being hit. He really thrives on just outmaneuvering his opponents, and that's why phase boots and S and Y is even really good on Razor, as it gives you a lot of mobility, allows you to juke around, dodge a lot of physical attacks, and just sort of, well, not dodge, but avoid being next to some physical attacks, and always having that static link up so you can chase, because if static link breaks, you are greatly reducing your potential damage output. But yeah, Razor picked up the phase, has a ring of regen as well. Not too sure why I picked that. Maybe it was thinking he'd go for Tranquils, but decided against it. Oh, never mind. I know why Razor went for Ring of Regeneration. So this is going to be probably a Mechanism Razor. And Mechanism Razor is pretty interesting, as Razor, he's an anti-carry, he's an agility anti-carry, and he's, again, not very reliable in team fights because his ultimate is really, really bad, and his static link cannot always be guaranteed. It might be guaranteed a bit more against 3 melee heroes, but still, it's not always going to be fully guaranteed. So what Razors sometimes do is go Mechanism so they can still have an impact in the team fight, but it looks like Razor going to decide against it. Picked up a second Ring of Regeneration, so I guess he might be thinking of going Hood, but I honestly don't think Hood would do that much. Well, I mean, DD, I think the reason why they might be going Hood is because they might want to end the game early, because other than Razor, I don't think Weaver... I mean, if you look at DD's lineup, they have a triple core, as Vada just going to slice and dice Funzi up to death. But DD, they have a triple core, but they're pretty weak as considering, or in comparison to a Lifesteal and a Bear dual core, especially backed up by a Juggernaut. So I think what DD want to do is push the game, or end the game as soon as possible. They can take it to the late game, but I mean, it looks like from the build races going that they want to end the game when they can, as soon as they can. And that means they're going to have to push in against Coddle, and you're going to need a pipe in order to do that. As DD gonna do some more initiation on the Cyrano. Open Wound's going to be used on Silent, as Cyrano being driven away. The Swarm still revealing Cyrano, all the while Cyrano knows he's going to die, trying to do a bit more parting damage to Silent, but Silent just going to time-lapse away, and Koikwa going to be driven away, and this aggressive challenge is going nightmarishly for Mouz, and that's why Paz is forced to rotate to the bottom lane, because he was not getting any experience up on the top lane. But it's difficult to kill Razor, because he will always have more damage, or will always drain your physical damage output. And for Lone Druid, who has no spells that do damage, and Rubik only has one spell that does damage, Razor not really in danger of dying. So Fada is probably going to be the only one who's having a good time thus far. He managed to pick up 2 kills on the middle lane. It looks like he's going the standard Juggernaut build, and for a pushing lineup like Mouz, which they can push, they could also turtle if they really want to. Mouse's lineup is very versatile, and that's why you see Lone Druid and Lifesteal just being such a common combination, as there are 3 people on the bottom lane, but it looks like DD or Mouz knows that the jig is up. And Mouz gonna just play very, very passively, as even though there wasn't a ward up, I guess Mouz had enough map awareness to realize, hey, where is everybody? And meanwhile, Fada just gonna push out the creepy Gulliver all the while spinning away. He's gonna go for the drums into Ags, into Vlad's. Most likely, very, very standard Juggernaut build, as it gives you a lot of utility, still gives you a decent amount of damage on the back of your Omni Slash, and Juggernaut as a hero himself does do a decent amount of damage for a majority of the game, regardless of what items he builds, that is to say. But Razor, holding 2 rings of regeneration, picks up a bracer, so I guess he's going to be the drums carrier for DD, as Weaver most likely going to go for the lead sphere, as Fiend Script's going to be chilling on the top lane. Quickly is definitely going to die, and this Lifestealer, again, having an abysmal time. It would be going worse if Bane had been going for Enfeeble, but instead wanted that extra point in Nightmare, getting that max point into Brain Sap, just getting extra bit of damage against the trialing. So right now, Lester is just going to have very, very difficult time getting himself back in the game. And Lester, again, does not need too many items, but still, against this lineup that DD has, he's probably going to need more than usual. Because all his damage will be drained or taken away. As Koika looking to reinitiate, we're going to see a teleport by Fada. He does have the ultimate online as fucking Mad most surely will die. The living armor going to drain away a couple ticks as fucking Mad going to get Blade Fury. Fucking Mad probably going to be dead. You can see couldn't brain sap anything just because everybody was magically immune. Silent going to do a lot of damage as well, as meanwhile Weaver was able to pick up the tower, and meanwhile Razor is back in the fray. Razor looking for some blood, but unfortunately for Razor, he is not going to be successful in finding that. Funzy was there as well, but Mouz, even though they lost the tower, they managed to get 1 kill, and they got it up on Fado, who is going to be doing quite a bit in the mid game. So not the worst of trades for Mouz, but definitely not one that they want to have happen. And we'll see if Mouz decides to do a responsive push on the bottom lane. As you can see, Lone Druid going to go for the armlet. Bunzi really looks like he's not having too much impact as he's going to get entangled. He's probably going to die. Entangled means, of course, he cannot blink away, and Queen of Pain is just going to be in a nightmarish experience. She definitely did not like that. And this Queen of Pain being kept down very, very hard. But Queen of Pain in this game, I think, isn't really going to be relied too much. Of course, you want to have her do damage, but she's more there just to control the other heroes on the map for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. But still, this Queen of Pain not having too good of a time. Sakshka with the bracer looking to finish the drums, and it looks like he does have the drums, so Razor is going for the maximum ability build, and he will constantly be able to juke away the Leicester and the Lone Druid, assuming, of course, he doesn't get too many spells casted on him. Meanwhile, Fada just going to teleport to the bottom lane as Silent was able to pick up a kill on Koiko by himself. Really, really good play by Silent as he drove away the Leicester. I did not anticipate that happening. A Weaver at 12 minutes game is not expected to kill off a Leicester by himself, but again, Koiko just really not having a good time thus far. And Funzy just going to be pushing out the critical room with his Scream of Pain. So overall, DD are in a pretty good position as they are getting all the farm on their appropriate heroes. Weaver is not really being shut down. He's managed to get himself 5 kills to 2 assists as Black going to get all his damage drained from his bear, and Sakshka forwarding with 56 extra damage, and that is pretty much all of Bear's damage. But yeah, DD definitely looking in a solid place because all of the heroes are getting relatively farm, and Weaver again, very independent hero, but at this rate, he will have his Linkens up very, very soon as he went for the treads, and looks like Rubik, I think, stole Shikuchi, which is probably the best game in the spell to possibly steal, as that gives you so much mobility. And Rubik definitely going to be very happy, but looks like Bane was able to plant a ward. And it's going to be interesting to see how Mouz approaches this next 10 to 15 minutes, as Mouz does not really have a gank-heavy lineup. They have more of a group of 5 pushing on it, but DD is pretty good at split pushing. They have Treant, so it's also very difficult for Mouz to push in. And they have very mobile heroes, so it's actually pretty difficult to gank DD anyways, even if Mouz had decent ganking heroes. So DD's lineup is just really, really annoying to deal with. And I don't really see Mouz just being able to take them in ganks. Mouz are going to have to group up, but if they group up, they're going to be in danger of just being split pushed to death. As Smoke to See is going to be popped. I don't know if that ward caught the after blast of the smoke. As DD, you can see Razor going to play defensively, as Bane could be in a lot of trouble. You see Paz initiating with Shikuchi. Omni Slash going to slice into his fucking Mad, but now he's able to get a Brain Zap, and fucking Mad should be okay, and yes, he will be okay. And Fada is going to get the Fiend's grip on him. Weaver is going to be there as well. Fada going to be able to get the magic one up. Bane with the Nightmare will be at the lock in place, and Fada most likely will die. Razor's going to get a little bit of extra damage, and it's likely that DD will look to go for a mid push. They managed to get the Juggernaut, so that means no healing ward to work with. Razor's got a little bit of damage to steal, 56, so a decent amount, and that means his tower not going to be likely to survive, even with the cuddle, because you do have Treant armor constantly staying you up, but it can't sustain everybody up all at the same time. So right now, DD going to be driven away for the time being, but again, DD very comfortable with the position they're in. So Black are gonna have to have a huge impact in this game, but again, Razor did shut down somewhat of his farm, but Black still having a reasonably good farm. He has 76 CS. Razor is the highest CS in the game with 83, and you can see Razor was just focusing on getting a lot of denies, and that's why Black is only level 11 at 15 minutes in the game. Razor level 10, but he's been roaming a bit more effectively. And Razor is going to go for the pipe, so they want to add the pipe in order to push in against the Coddle, because DD don't really have the strongest pushers, but once they get the pipe online, along with the mechanism, they should be okay. As Treant, not too sure who's going to get the mechanism on the side of DD. It could be Razor, but probably won't be. As the Treant gonna fortify the middle lane, and it's also pretty difficult for DD or for Mouz to push in. So looks like DD are gonna get a trade going as the split pushing lineup is now coming into full effect. And I'm worried about Silent becoming a huge problem for Mouz, because usually Weaver has a lack of damage output, as I've mentioned several times, but as the game progresses, if he's not kept in check, he just becomes a huge, annoying nuisance for everybody to deal with, and that means his supports will all probably die, and Lifesteal and Lone Druid, with the farm that they currently have, won't be able to do anything, because you can only really rely on entangles. And we have time-lapse, so you can just sort of get the hell out of that, as Funzy will spot Black in the jungle. And we are going to see a rotation by Silent, as Silent will get the Chiguchi. Black going to be on Launch. Here comes Swarm, reducing Black's armor, as Black going to be on the Launch, but look, the damage output is just not there. Black might be okay. Blinding Light going to drive away Silent, as here comes the Plasma Field, but it's not going to hit anything. Fada was able to juke it on the back because Blade Fury. Silent just going to be able to escape, as Koika going to find himself Fiend's Grip, but the Healing Word going to heal up Koika for a period of time, but the Healing Word will die. Fada is gonna have to back off, as DD just has too much sustainability themselves, and they are gonna be able to get away. Leicester once again dropping 0-4 and 2. Leicester really just not having a good time whatsoever, and I anticipate it getting better, because keep in mind Bane has yet to put any points to Enfeeble, and once it gets Enfeeble, Leicester will have even more of a difficult time in this game. But Keeper of the Light, Illuminate still doing its work, as Sakshika will be able to get that damage train going, but he ventured a little bit too far. Sakshika does have a lot of tankability in the back of his cloak and his Rings of Regeneration, so Sakshika will be able to escape. Treant does pick off the tower, and Mouz can only watch as the towers are crumbling one by one. They have already lost 3 tier 1 towers with a Keeper of the Light and a Lone Druid combination, where you want to sort of get as many towers as possible in the early game, because your lineup is really not that mobile in the late game, so it is a bit susceptible to split push. And with Juggernaut staying you with the Healing Ward, you should probably be able to get a tower, but DD's lineup, again, very, very annoying to deal with, as Koiko will be able to dodge the Plasma Field, but that means Rage will be down for a little bit in a couple of seconds, and that is going to force the imminent retreat of Koiko, and the siege unit will fall, and I think Mouse's push has been stopped. Gallblack will just heal up the tower as much as he possibly can, and all the while Silent just going to be happily farming away. He's going to have his Wicked Sphere at 18 minutes, which is very, very good, as we're going to see Razor being initiated on, but the Nightmare just going to allow Razor to sustain himself in the fight just a little bit longer. We're going to see a Wicked Head by Funzy. Koika wanted to turn around, but the Fiend's Grip once again is back up. Going to be used exclusively for Koika, as he is going to die for a 5th time probably, and now DD looks like they're back on the hunt. They're gonna perhaps look to push down the middle tier 2, and considering Keeper of the Light is not in a good position to defend it, they might very well be able to push it down. Just depends on how much damage Razor was able to drain. Not too much, but there's still all 5 heroes of DD here, and Keeper of the Light was not there to get the Illuminates off, so this tower will die to DD, and DD looking in such a good position at this point. Weaver with the Winged Sphere, and now he can start going for some damage, and a damage dealing Weaver at 20 minutes in the game is just going to be exceptionally difficult for Mouz to deal with. But still, I mean, DD has shown that they can't kill Black, as Weaver was able to pick up a kill on Synderen, as meanwhile Fada looking to kill off Sakshika. No, he was actually getting all his damage drained, so he just had to teleport the heck out of there. And DD looking to group up his 5. Again, DD want to push themselves, because their carries, although pretty powerful, are not really that reliable. But Black was able to kill off the tower and just kind of teleport right in front of Weaver's face. So good job by Black getting at least a bit of tower gold going into the pockets of Mouz. Gold that is definitely going to be appreciated by Koika, as all he wants is that armlet. He'll get himself a bit of extra HP, a lot of damage, and then he can start being a bit more tanky in these team fights, which he's just having a nightmarish time going thus far. As Koiko got his stack link, he's gonna look to infest the creep. Will he be able to do so? All his damage is being drained. He's actually running away from the creep, so it looks like he's trying to teleport away, but he will be hunted down by this Razor. Razor does have higher move speed as he does manage to infest the creep. We'll see if Sakshika will just look to let that creep die, but unfortunately, it's not in the right creep. And Sakshika, look at his damage output. He is sitting at 330 DPS at this point in the game. Koiko will infest out. His creeps are dying all around him, and he's going to look to do some right-click damage. All of the drainage damage was out, but DD just waited for the rage to cool down, and they were able to kill off Koiko. But all the while, Mouz are able to get a tower in return, and considering Koiko has been not having a good time, I think Mouz are going to be pretty happy with that. As Fada taking a lot of damage from Silent. Silent, again, just does not really care about anything at this point in the game. And he is just gonna apply so much pressure on Mouz's lineup. And again, since Mouz don't really have the best gankers, you can't really do any infests. I mean, who can Naix honestly infest? Maybe a Shikuchi to Rubik, but I mean, that's a Rubik. Rubik can't really kill anybody on DD, especially considering the tankability of DD. And Razor's already finished the pipe, so DD can potentially go for the base towers very, very soon. They'll be able to withstand 1 or 2 eliminates, and in conjunction with the living armor, they should be okay. Queen of Pain gonna finish up the Orchid. Silent has that Lincoln Sphere, probably gonna go for a Yasha or a Desolator, as Desolator on Weaver is very, very trendy. It's very, very good as well. Gives you a lot of minus armor, gives you a lot of damage, and will allow you to break the base against Kato, which is definitely something that DD are probably looking to do. But you can see DD have been well on this Roshan with all 5 heroes. Their damage output at this point in the game is really not that threatening, but still, their sustainability is just immense. Considering that, of course, they're draining Mouz's DPS all the while. Golblack finished the mechanism, so it's not going to be a Mecha Pipe Razor, it's just going to be a Treant mech. And so DD getting all the items they need to perhaps push in. But really, really smart item choice by Black. Sometimes the bears like to pick up Maelstrom, or in majority of cases, the lone druids like to pick up Maelstrom in order to get themselves a bit more damage, as well as getting a bit more farming speed on their heroes, as Fada is invisible, will be hunting down DD. And they're going to slice and dice up Golblack. First hit Entangle, going to allow Golblack. No, he does pop the Overgrowth, and he will be able to escape. Overgrowth, such a short cooldown, that means it will most likely be up before the next team fight. But yeah, back to Black's Basher. It's really, really good, as in majority of games, Lone Druid does land to get that Maelstrom up because it increases the DPS a lot more and allows him to farm a lot quicker. But in this game, he knows Weaver is going to probably be the main problem, and he wants to have as many tools as possible to keep him in check. You know, quick, just trying to finish an armlet, and this is the saddest lifestyle I've ever seen. He's definitely not used to it in this tournament, as he has just been on a rampage, but Lifesteal are gonna have to feel like a mortal for once, as the gold and experience advantage heavily in favor of DD. The tower is going to be pushed by DD as well. There's really not too much that Mouz can do about it, especially not with Synderen being picked off by Funzy with the Orchid being used, but Funzy could be in a lot of trouble. He will actually die in exchange. And DD unable to push the tower quickly enough because the middle tier 2 is being pushed. Sakshika is going to be there to try to defend it, but Black once again gets the tower for free, and his bear will be able to escape. So this tower needs to be killed off by DD very, very quickly. But Koiko is back in action, and DD actually not going to pick up a tower, so some nice plays by Mouz. They tried to keep it alive for a Quap, and they managed to get one tower in exchange for defending their tier 2. And again, Razor is just not that good of a pusher, unless he gets Aghanims, but I mean, I don't know if Aghanim's Razor is really the best option. But in an open engagement, you do have to favor DD. They've shown that their lineup is quite good at engaging into Mouz, but there is a ward on the map, so DD going to be spotted out, and DD probably just going to look to kill off this tier 2, trying to get one of the last hour towers on the map. And Weaver, instead of going for Desolator, just going to go for straight up MKB, so maybe anticipating some invasion in the near future, maybe Heaven's Halberd or something like that. I mean, Heaven's Halberd will prevent you from attacking, but still, I mean, the evasion is definitely very good as well. Or also, it can allow Weaver just to chip away from the low ground to the high ground on some towers, even though Weaver, as a very long range hero, will probably be on the high ground all the time anyways. And MKB on Weaver is still very good, it increases the DPS by quite a bit. And Razor with the Aegis. That means he can respawn, or he can drain damage even while he's dead, as that is one of the annoying things about Razor, and that means he'll respawn with a lot of extra plus damage on his side. And there's nothing in the game that stops Static Link. You can't defensively disrupt it, you can't Outworld Destroyer or Outworld Devour, imprison it. You can't do anything to escape it. Even Skelly King, while he's reincarnated, will get his damage drained. It's just very, very annoying to deal with as a whole. And DD looking to group up, just checking out the items on the side of Mouz, and looks like Fada managed to pick up a Yashi. He has Lifesteal infested inside him, so Fada might just go balls deep. And what this is really to do is just to allow Lifesteal to perhaps get some sort of damage off on the enemy team, but DD just going to drive away Mouz on the back of their pipe as well as the mechanism and just brute force down this tower. But still, I mean, it's not looking terrible for Mouz. I mean, sure, they're definitely losing. They're in a disadvantageous situation, but Lifesteal will slowly but surely overcome the lack of damage that he has, even though there is Enfeeble as well as Static Link to deal with. The bear is still having a very, very good time, has not died just yet, and he will continue to get more items. But still, I mean, you do have to put the favor, or you do have to give it to DD, as Weaver is just going to become such a huge issue for Mouz to deal with, that I honestly don't really see a reliable way of killing off the Weaver unless you manage to get a couple lucky bashes. And overall, the game has reached a bit of a stalemate. And I think what Mouz or DD are waiting for is just that extra bit of damage up on the Weaver, and perhaps maybe a pick-off before they try to claim the last tier 2. They'll try to get the last tier 2 anyways, and then they might go in for the high ground once Weaver picks up his MKB. Which he will do very, very soon, as the MKB will be online at about 300 gold. As we are going to see Mouz look to defend this. Fada will be on himself, will already pop his healing ward, so if that healing ward dies, Fada could be in a lot of trouble. We're going to see the Orchid going down on Fada. He's so quick with those phase boots as well as the Yasha though, but still, it's very difficult to run away from Weaver. And Koikwa actually going to initiate onto Silent, but still going to be driven away. Koikwa really just cannot deal with the Weaver at this point. Meanwhile, Funzy looking to get his set device going very, very soon. Razor going to go for the Aghanim's. So Aghanim's Razor, it's okay. I mean, at least it allows your ultimate to hit towers. And actually, I've not seen Razor use his ultimate in this game. It's just a really, really bad teamfight ultimate. It's good at pushing because, of course, it does apply the damage as well as I think the minus armor to the towers. I could be mistaken. Maybe if it applied the minus armor to towers, it would be a bit too broken, but I'm not too sure. As there might be a gank going on. First hit bash on the Sakshika. He will be in danger of getting entangled, so we are going to see the pursuit going down onto the Razor. Open wounds will be used as Sakshika going to take a lot of damage. His age is timed out at just the right time for Mouz. They timed that gank perfectly, and that means Sakshika will be out of the picture for the next 20 or next 40 seconds or so. And Mouz looks like they're going to defend their top tower as well, but Omni Slash was already used, and that means Fada just going to have to get the heck out of their Cinder and can't even hope to keep the Weaver back. As no, he is going to pop the Illuminate, run for Weaver's face. His teammates are in close proximity, so he will be able to get a bit of damage of Fada, taking a lot of damage himself. That Weaver just pumping out the deeps, but he's going to get first hit bash. Silent might have overplayed his hand by just a little bit. One more bash could be the end of this Weaver, but Blinding Light, I mean, that didn't really matter. Shikuchi was back up, so Weaver will be able to escape. But Mouz looks like they have been able to compose itself against DD's weird lineup. They're just going to play very, very calculated Dota, go for smokes and go for ganks whenever they can. As Cinder going to take a lot of damage. Cinder will definitely die, as Blinding Light does not matter when you have an MKB. Fada or Silent going to be forced to time-lapse on out of there. Bear looking for a bash, but the Bear will be just a little bit out of luck, as no, they do manage to get the entangle, as the Bear did have detection. Do they have a gem or anything like that? No, they have a Sentry Ward here, so Silent, definitely not worth it for him, as he picked up Keeper Light in exchange for his own life. They weren't even able to get the tier 2. And now DD's lineup looking a little less scary. And Basher, again, is the cure for all ills for Mouz. If they get bashes, who needs damage? Paz actually has a gem, so now they have a more reliable way to always keep an eye out on the Weaver. And we'll see if Paz is able to ward these ward. Yes, he will. Paz recently picked up that gem as that ward was placed a while ago, I do believe. And Koiko's starting to get himself back in the game, but keep in mind, Bane now gonna be able to get some more points into the Feeble. As he's only level 11, he's only gained 3 levels since I last checked on him. He has a gem on his own, or he has a gem himself, as he is probably looking to do some dewarding. But still, DD definitely do have the advantage, especially if Funzi picks up the Scythe of Ice. If they are able to do that, that means the bear probably won't trouble them. They can hex the Juggernaut before he can do anything. If they're able to get it before the Blade Fairy, they can hex the Rubik, who's very, very annoying to deal with. They can hex the Leicester before Rage, or after the Rage, won't really matter. And I've got to imagine Quickwith's next item is probably going to be a Basher. He definitely needs it. They want to have all the lockdown abilities, as many lockdown abilities as possible to keep the Weaver in check. But I've got to imagine DD are just going to play conservatively until they get the Scythe of Ice and the Roshan, as Roshan's going to respawn relatively soon. And you can see the gold graph, due to the fact that DD is farming Mouse's jungle as well as all the lanes, DD are able to creep more and more ahead of Mouse, despite them losing a couple of heroes. Mouse has been able to recover a little bit in terms of experience on the back of their ganks, but still, the gold graph, not looking good for Mouse. And Mouse, they want to group up and push, but every time they probably try to do so, Weaver is going to be pushing one lane, Queen of Pain's going to be pushing another, Razor could be pushing down another as well, and it's just very, very difficult for Mouse to deal with. Cideron's managed to finish the mechanism, so that's pretty good. I don't imagine Mouse is going to go for a pipe. I mean, what will they use a pipe for? Queen of Pain, and that's it. As DD de-ward the area around Roshan, and they have the creeps to push to an extent that they can take this Roshan relatively easily, and now that they have the MKV on bottom Weaver, this Roshan will die a lot more quickly compared to the last one. And I've got to imagine that Silent's going to be the recipient of this Aegis of the Immortal, as he is definitely more important than the Razor at this point in the game. And Mouse can't do anything about it. Queen of Pain actually picks it up, so they want to have access into the potential double scythe, as well as having that bit of extra burst damage. And Queen of Pain herself is doing a reasonable job in this game thus far. As Cinnamon going to be in a lot of trouble, but was able to escape from the potential of being mini bashed, as he managed to juke in a very, very good location. Fada picked up the Mantis, so it looks like he's going to do some split pushing of his own. He didn't go for the Aghanim's. Aghanim's is more of a pushing build because he wanted to have the extra HP as well as extra mana to cast more wards, more Omni Slashes, and have more HP to tank towers. But he's going for a split pushing oriented build because he knows that Mouse does not want to fight DD at this point. They just want to keep DD from pushing it. The bear picked up a Hyperstone. He still is yet to die in this game, as he is working towards the AC most likely, but Mouse could be in a bit of trouble. We're going to see rotation in. Fucking mad. Gonna be able to get the Nightmare going, but he's going to get bashed in place by the bear. Stack Link is going to drain most of the bear's damage. Omni Slash is going to do a lot of damage, as looks like Queen of Pain was able to kill off Koika. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Overgrowth is going to be used. Fada going to be Fiend Script. Weaver was able to kill off Synderen in the middle lane, as the bear just running around in circles, really unable to do anything. Fada might be in a lot of trouble. You can see the damage not there for DD, but Saksha was able to kill him off. And Black was able to escape, so even though Mouse lost 3 heroes, at least Black was able to escape. But still, they lost Synderen as well as Koiko in the middle lane to a Queen of Pain and a Weaver combination. And Razor has Aghanim, so that means these buildings are going to be under a lot of duress. The ultimate is currently on cooldown, but it's going to be up relatively soon, as Silent going to get bashed in place. But once again, Razor draining all damage on the bear, and you can see how little damage his bear is currently hitting for. Sakura was able to drain 140 damage from that Spirit Bear. And that Spirit Bear might as well be a Teddy Bear at this point. It's really just only good for a bash once Razor deals or drains all of the damage, as DD were able to kill off the first barracks of the game without too much of a fuss. Those ganks really did cost Mouse their middle barracks. And DD just going to take that victory and roll with it, as Weaver does have the gem. I think that was probably Cinderen's, or made the Juggernaut's gem. Or Rubik's gem, probably. So Mouz definitely looking to not be in a good position, to say the least. Mouz, I think they're probably just going to play defensively and then try to go for a death ball push once they feel like they have the appropriate items. But what are the appropriate items? They need the AC on the bear so they can break down the base when they can, and they need some sort of damage up on the Lifestealer. He's doing some damage, but still not enough that you can sort of just walk off an enfeeble or a static link. And DD not going to let Mouz breathe. They are just trying to look to maximize the potential of this Aegis up on the Quap, who still has it. They're looking to get the last tier 2 on Mouz's side, and I don't really think Mouz can do anything to stop it. Silent once again giving away Shikuchi, but I mean, seemingly does not care. He knows that he's not really in any danger of being picked off.
Top tower is under attack.
And this tower gonna fall without any fuss. Just looking at the Aegis timers, Queen of Pain gonna break in very aggressively. Will be able to immediately kill off Cinder, and Cinder, does he have buyback? He's definitely needed, but he does not have enough forward buyback, and that means this tower will most likely die without the presence of Illuminate. And you can see Black, in exchange, was able to claim the last tier 1 on the side of DD's, or the last DD tier 1.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen.
DD once again claiming barracks without too much of a fuss. And oh, the overgrowth doesn't really matter because it can teleport out of overgrowth. What a lame ultimate. And DD just playing ultra methodically. They had a game plan in mind and they have executed it tremendously. Their game plan was just to not take any damage, and so far it's working very, very well. And Queen of Pain still has Aegis for another minute and a half. Silent was able to finish the Manta style, so now he can split push by himself a bit more easily. And you can see Mouz sort of forced to group up at this point. They know they have to get some sort of map control. They're not grouping up for the racks, so they just want to get map control and the creeps pushed out as far as possible, so DD just can't walk through their bottom lane. But every time they push in, DD just shows up 1 or 2 heroes and drives by Mouz. DD's heroes have such an item advantage that Mouz really can't do anything to stop them.
Dire's top tower is
And
under
Black just
attack.
looking to backdoor the tier 2. Gonna force Tree into teleport and then cancels it, but still does not want to be there. He has no idea where the Weaver is, and Weaver could potentially cancel its teleport, so Black just gonna have to get the heck out of there. Koiko's finished the Basher, so now they're starting to get something in place, but still, they have a long way to go. And DD looking to perhaps seal the deal on this game. They are pushing down the bottom lane. The top lane is being pushed all the while by the Weaver, and Weaver just running circles around Mouz at this point with the help of Funzy, who's managed to pick himself up an E-Blade. And not only will E-Blade be very good in terms of amplifying the Queen of Pain's magical damage, it allows Queen of Pain to completely negate somebody like the Juggernaut or the Lifestealer or the Lone Druid hero from attacking him. As here comes the engagement, as Razor, I think, no, he is saving the second link once again for the Bear. The Bear is just going to have to run away, definitely not good position for Mouz. That's why the Omni Slash going to work. Will be able to kill off Sakshka at the very least, but here comes the Blink Dagger. Trin Goback was able to get a very big ultimate quick being held in place as Fada is going to take a Fiend's Grip. They already killed off the Lifestealer on the back of the Entangle as Funzy just going to blink on out of there. Mouz still a bit too tanky for DD to deal with. Silent going to find himself entangled in place. Fada forced to buy back. Silent looking to escape. I think he will be able to, as the Hex by the Queen of Pain is there. And Mouz are able to defend their last set of barracks by only losing 2 heroes and getting a buyback on the Juggernaut, but still looks like DD not going to give up too easily. And you can see Queen of Pain almost at full HP. No Aegis anymore, but I've got to imagine, I mean, Razor is pretty much an afterthought at this point. You can see Silent just chipping around the tower. They're going to E-Blade the Bear just to prevent it from getting a lucky bash and from Mouz initiating on the back of that. And really, this is just an anti-Lone Druid Nyx lineup. This is probably the most anti-Lone Druid Nyx lineup I've ever seen. But Funzy got himself lifted up in the air, and Funzy will die. Really good focus fire by Mouz, but still, Silent's just running circles around Mouz. And even though Mouz won that team fight, technically, they defended their base and got a couple kills, they really can't hope to push out their lanes, not while Silent's alive. But first hit, Bash and Tangle gonna hold Silent in place for the moment. But Silent will just scurry on out of there. The bear desperately trying to give chase as he's actually going to reinitiate on the back of the living armor. And Silent's going to give himself locked into place, but is there enough damage to bring him down? Silent does have access in time lapse, will be able to time lapse out to safety. As Silent, flirting with death, does manage to find himself a very nice haste rune. And DD, they want to end the game right now. They have the items to do just that. They have the items on Razor. And they even have a medallion and a point booster up on the Bane, who still has not yet lost a gem, as Silent was able to kill off Koikwa on the back of his haste rune. This has got to be one of the worst games of Koikwa's life. And he's played very, very well this entire tournament, but this is not even a good time this game. Silent by himself, just keeping Mouz penned up while DD looks to pressure down the bottom lane. Queen of Pain is not even in the picture. She has yet to respawn. Doesn't even have enough to get Boots of Travel in, but it looks like DD honestly just do not care, as Silent just once again ushering away the entire Mouz squad. And this is why Weaver is such a dangerous carry when you let him get items. He just does not care about anything. And once again, the bear getting all his damage rain. He's going to get Omni Slash Razor is that is, but the Nightmare could delay a little bit of the damage. Silent's taking quite a bit, but Razor on the back of the Entangle will be able to pump out a lot of DPS along with Silent. Bottom will once again find himself gripped up as possible still the Overgrowth, but Overgrowth when you're not doing damage, honestly, not too much good for anything, as GG well played is the call by Cernan. And DD were able to claim a game off of Mouz. So well played by both sides. And we definitely saw the power of Razor in lane. And the power of Weaver against a lineup that really can't do too much to keep him in check. I was hoping for a bit more of an impact by Razor, but I mean, he did his job. He laned, and that's pretty much it. The Silent just found farming. Poor Koiko, 0, 9, and 4. I mean, it's really not his fault. I mean, it's partly his fault, but not so much. I mean, what's a try and lost? What can Leicester really do to get himself back in game? Maybe jungle a bit earlier on, but Mouz wanted to push early on, and they couldn't do that unless Leicester got a lot of levels, and Leicester, unfortunately, was not able to do so. So, hopefully you enjoy that game. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.